Budgeting compensation. Budgeting compensation deserves extra attention in a course on budgeting. Compensation is a significant expense for most companies. According to the Predictive Index's 2019 CEO benchmarking report, employee related costs are 55% of an average organization's costs. In service companies, compensation comprises a very high percentage of expenses. There is a lot of analysis that needs to be done to set wages and benefits. Do as much of this as you can before the budgeting season. For example, don't try to analyze and implement a new benefit during the budget season and immediately before the new year. Market pay rate analysis can be done during the year. You may be able to conceptually develop a new incentive compensation before the budget season and then insert the targets once the budget is achieved. Incentive compensation agreements are notorious for being negotiated well after the budget is done. Sometimes it feels like the target is being drawn around where the revenue arrow was already headed. Budgeting is commonly done by department, so each department would budget their employees' wages. The periodic, for example, monthly salary amount, would be budgeted for salaried employees. The budget amount for hourly employees is the hourly rate times the expected non overtime hours worked. We'll deal with overtime later. Budget for pay increases when they occur during the year, for example, at annual performance reviews. Pay increases tend to come in three varieties. Promotions. The employee moves to a new pay grade, potentially with a new title. Merit increases. The employee's pay is increased for items like inflation or some other standard wage increase across the company. A performance based increase that doesn't involve the employee moving to any new pay grade, or increases for tenure at the company, educational achievement, or certifications. Equity increases. Sometimes an employee's wage rate has fallen below rising market rates. These employees may need a pay adjustment to bring them back in alignment with what they can get in the market. You may also need to increase pay for employees if there are gender or racial pay inequalities within your company. Your HR department may need to provide the amounts for these items. Sometimes the HR department provides the monthly pay for every employee with standard increases for merit increases and any required equity increases. Managers then layer in promotions. In this example, the accounting manager is salaried, so her base quarter salary is budgeted for each period with a pay increase in Q3. The first accounting staff position is hourly with a pay increase in the second quarter. I'll show later how that increase is calculated. The second accounting staff position is a new position starting in Q3. We don't know the person's name yet, so we use the title instead of the name like we used in the other lines. Budgeting department manager promotions and some other compensation can get tricky. I worked at banks where there were multiple levels for managers. For example, branch manager 1, branch manager 2, branch manager 3. Banks hand out titles to employees like they hand out dog treats to people who have a dog in their car in the drive-through line. On the one hand, it makes sense for the manager's promotion to be budgeted in their department. However, their supervisor may not want them to know that the supervisor is budgeting for a promotion. This may be because the promotion is uncertain. In those cases, the promotion pay may be budgeted in one of the supervisor's departments that only the supervisor can see. For example, a market manager may budget a department or center with their salary and the promotion pay for the managers that report to them. The accounting staff employee is paid hourly, so their beginning budgeted wages are calculated as $18 per hour times 520 hours per quarter for quarterly wages of $9,360. Remember that I'm showing many examples in quarterly budgeting so examples fit better on the screen, but it's more common to budget monthly. They receive a pay increase in Q2. It's calculated as their former rate of $18 increased 8% for a cost of living adjustment and a performance adjustment. Their new rate is $19.44 times 520 hours for a new quarterly wage of $10,109. Companies that pay biweekly usually have 2 payroll periods per month, but occasionally have 3 payroll periods in a month. This can cause big budget variances depending on how payroll is posted. If you use full GAAP accrual accounting each month, then 1 month's expense for each employee is approximately 1/12 of their annual wages. If you post expenses when payroll is paid, you will have much larger payroll expenses in 3 payroll months. Income aside, the bigger issue may be cash flow. Payroll is a large cash outflow. In your cash budget, You'll want to make sure you have enough cash to cover payroll in the 3 payroll months. Here is an example of how to budget for 2 and 3 payroll months. The gap expense is the annual salary of $120,000 divided by 12 months for a monthly accrual of $10,000. However, payroll is paid every 2 weeks. This equates to $4,615 per pay period. A cash based forecast would have some months with 2 pay periods totaling $9,231 and some with 3 pay periods totaling $13,846, as shown on the bottom line. This is an example with small numbers. The differences in monthly cash flow can be massive in large companies. It's difficult to predict exactly who will be paid overtime and how many hours they will work. Budgeting overtime for each person is likely a waste of time. It's better to estimate overtime as a percent of hourly wages or a flat dollar amount. This can be estimated based on prior year amounts adjusted for changes in staffing that would increase or decrease overtime. The top half of this example is an analysis of overtime pay as a percent of hourly wages for the past year. For the budget in the bottom half of the image, budgeted hourly wages are multiplied by those same quarterly percentages to estimate overtime for the department or company. Throughout the year, there are vacancies for positions that were budgeted for. A person leaves the company, and their replacement may not start for weeks or months later. The budget likely projects that person's wages throughout the year. So any gap in pay during turnover causes actual costs to be below budgeted costs. You can't predict who will leave. Except for very large departments, you can't use history to project future vacancies. You likely need to budget for vacancies at a company-wide level. Not budgeting for vacancies will make it look like your future payroll costs will be much higher than your past experience and likely future experience. It's impressive how creative and complex incentive compensation and bonus programs can be. Some of the most grueling and contentious meetings I've attended have been to set these. How much incentive compensation should you budget? The simple answer is to budget the amount that would be paid if the company performed exactly at the budgeted performance levels. This works well for profit sharing plans and some sales commissions plans. This may not work for some incentive plans. This is more of a problem if either the bonus is entirely paid for hitting the target or none of it's paid. How does a company budget for these plans? Here are some options. If it's reasonably attainable, then budget for it. Budget bonuses at the percentage or dollar amount payout that has been historically paid. If it's possibly attainable but far from certain, multiply the bonus times the odds of achieving it. Or just leave it out of the budget. Some say that incentive compensation plans severely undermine the benefits of budgeting. They contend this is particularly true when bonuses aren't paid unless sales hit a certain target, like 80% of budgeted sales. This motivates sales employees to negotiate for sales goals they know they can hit. When they understate what they can perform, it forces the company to underinvest. Expenses are projected inappropriately low to hit the profitability target for the budget. Then, once sales exceed targets, the company is not invested for the sales. Two options to deal with this are remove these cliffs in incentive programs, have programs that provide bonuses that scale across all sales amount, or base incentives on margins, profitability, or a set of key metrics instead of revenue. A case can be made to budget benefits and taxes at the department level or at the company level. You can decide which case is more compelling for your company. Let's look at the case for both. Why budget benefits and taxes at the department level?